Okay, greetings everybody. We're on the 19th day of the month of Cheshvan, Mar Cheshvan 5778. You can check your watches to make sure that correct date that we have. Yeah. Sometimes people ask me, Yehuda, how do you have like a Jewish calendar on your watch? Well, I hate to lay it on you, but it's pretty simple because you just put on a number there, and you could any month, you just look at it and it will say the day of the Hebrew month. I don't have a Jewish watch on me. It's one of these Japanese Casio versions, but you don't need it. Just put the date on and you'll be okay. And the month, we're on the 8th month of the year, Cheshvan, so you put 8 and 19 and you're okay. No Jewish watch here.
Not 18?
What?
It's not 18?
19th. Yesterday was the 18th. Okay, today's class will be entitled, of course, we're on the 19th, which means that we just passed the memorial of two very righteous people. One was at the beginning of the week, if not mistaken, on Yom Rishon, on Sunday, was Rabbi Carlebach, who happened to be personally a friend of mine and family for many, many, many years. My uncle played with him for many, many years in his band. So we go back quite a while. And yesterday was the memorial, the 27th memorial of our dear Rabbi Meir Kahane. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, Kadosh Livracha, Hashem Yikom Damo. So the title of today's class, with all that introduction here, is Taking It to the Streets, the special quality of Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach and Rabbi Kahane. Taking it to the streets. Okay, now, when this past week, when I came across this point, all of a sudden, in the back of my mind, this beat started coming to me. When I was in high school, this song came to me right away that this was the idea. I don't know if you remember this, but you have to be around my age to remember this, except, of course, if you're Lee. And then even though he's a young guy, he knows all these songs from yesteryear. He's really an amazing guy. You could tell him, tell him a song, he knows it. I don't know how he does that. But when I was in high school, there was a great song by the Doobie Brothers. It was called Taking It to the Streets. And that, to me, was the bottom line of what made Rabbi Kahane and what made Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach so special. It was taking it to the streets. And we will see by last week's Parsha how this point is really an amazing point. This Parsha was the portion of the week that we read when Rabbi Kahane was murdered. It doesn't work out that way every single year, but this year it does. So it's an amazing idea in this week's Parsha. So let's take it from the beginning, and then we'll go through the words of the Doobie Brothers song. And we'll see that this was very interesting.
Are we going to get a song and dance?
Listen, we might have to throw in an extra fee for the song and dance, Mike, but we'll let you know. We'll let you know. You know what they say? No checks allowed. In God we trust. Everyone else pays cash. Right. Okay, now this is the question. Okay, put on a seatbelt because we're going for a ride. The question is, we know that Abraham, when he was told by God that the city of Sodom and Gomorrah is going to be destroyed, he went up to the plate, and he tried to plead with God that if he finds 50, 45, 40, etc., righteous people, until he got to the lowest level of 10. That was the last request, 10. What type of righteous people was Abraham looking for? This is the question we never asked ourselves. We know that he asked for righteous people, but what kind of righteous people? That's a good question. Was he looking for black-hatted righteous people? Was he looking for the fur hat community, Shrimal community? Was he looking for those knitted kippot righteous people, the sock and sandal community righteous people? What righteous people? Was he looking for the religious Noahites? Tell me what exactly. I mean, it's a big word. I'm looking for righteous people. You know, today in Israel, anytime you see somebody with, you know, a hat on or something, you're sure that the guy's a rabbi, and, you know, you're asking him, is this kosher, you know, is this not kosher? So, what does it mean exactly? Today, in the normal eye, a righteous person, I mean, it's pretty wide margin there. Okay, so that's what we're going to be asking ourselves, and the answer is really amazing. So put on that seatbelt and enjoy. Here we go. So Abraham, when he's pleading with God or arguing with God, he asks if he finds within, bitoch, inside the city of Sodom, if he finds these righteous people. Now that's interesting, because why didn't he just say, if I find righteous people? What is this inside? What would I think? If I found righteous people of Sodom outside? Well, it's outside Sodom, so that it's outside, it's not included. So I get the point. If the Torah would have just told us that if I find 50 righteous people, will you save the city? Yes or no? That's enough. Why does it say inside? Bitocham, inside them. That is the question. So listen to this very interesting Ktav Sofer. Ktav Sofer was the son of the Chatam Sofer. And in his commentary on the portion of the week, here's what he says in Unbelievable Torah. Listen to sometimes what's considered to be righteous. What's considered to be righteous? So the Chatam Sofer gives over this idea that Abraham asked God that he wants to make sure that the righteous will not be taken with the wicked. Because how could you take righteous people and the wicked people, so there's no difference between the wicked and the righteous? Everybody's the same. How could that be? People will say there's the desecration of God's name. People will say, you see, there's no difference between the righteous and the wicked. Both of them were destroyed in the city of Sodom. So what's Abraham after here? Listen to what he says. He says there were many people in the eyes of the beholder. There were many people that walked the streets of Sodom that were righteous in their eyes, considered to be righteous. Many people, not 10, not 50 more. Many people like this. They were righteous in the eyes of the beholder. But the problem is, folks, the bottom line is that in the eyes of beholders, who knows? Because what we see is not always what we get. You know, you go out, you buy something, it turns out to be a lemon. But you know, I had actually this week, my wife came back and she bought a bag of lemons. I never heard of a lemon being a lemon. This was a new issue for me. That there was no juice in the lemons. So you could buy a lemon and get a lemon. This was a new chidush. This was a new angle of it. So folks, open up your hearts here. Unbelievable idea. In the eyes of the beholder, if you would have asked people, could I ask, a quick questionnaire here? They would have said, Mr. and Mrs. X, they're righteous people. But in the eyes of Hashem, they were wicked, which is an amazing concept. I'm amazed that people here are still sitting down, haven't flown out the window here. An amazing concept here. Many times what people consider and call righteous, not only is it not righteous, but it is wicked. That person might be considered wicked in the eyes of Hashem. Amazing idea. So what does the Ketav Sofer say? The Ketav Sofer says that Abraham's point was Hashem. I understand, I realize, I see that these righteous people, they ain't really righteous. In fact, they're wicked. However, to the eyes of the beholder, they are righteous people. And when people will take notice, where they will be publicized in the world that these righteous people, so-called righteous people, who are really wicked, were killed alongside the wicked people of the city of Sodom, the wicked people who were considered to be wicked, then there would be a tremendous desecration of God's name. Because people would say that God kills the righteous along with the wicked. So therefore, it's true that they're really wicked, these righteous people. And it's true that they're only righteous in the eyes of the beholder. However, because of the fact they're looked at as righteous people, it will be a desecration of your name. So therefore, please save the city. So they will not say, why did God kill the righteous with the wicked? So number one, it could be that Abraham was looking for these righteous, so-called righteous people in the eyes of the beholder, but who are not really righteous. Okay, that's one possibility. Now, check this unbelievable Torah out. The sages tell us in Breshit Rabbah 49:9, tells us the following, that there was a discussion, a dispute, a debate, so to speak, between God and Abraham. And Abraham comes up to God and says, God, what if I find these righteous people in the city of Sodom? And you know what God replies? He says, maybe in your eyes they're righteous, but they ain't. They're not righteous. In fact, he calls them, the sages, so to speak, in God's name, these righteous people of Sodom, which existed, they were called Nivlei Tzadikim. Nivlei Tzadikim. Which means let's say you have a tree, so you have a certain percentage of the produce on the tree is worthy to be picked and sold, and there's a certain percentage that is rotten on the tree. So these so-called righteous people in Sodom that did exist, so God tells Abraham, you're calling these people righteous and you want me to save the city because of these righteous people, but they're not righteous. They're nivlei tzadikim. They might seem on the exterior to be righteous, but they're not.
But from the perspective of Chil Hashem,
that's the Ketav Sofer.
Okay, so Avram really wasn't coming to save them, but to save God's name.
Right, right. Now, this is very interesting. The sages go on to say, if you look at Abraham's argument, when he's asking for righteous people, there's one letter missing from the word righteous. The yud is missing from it's tzadikam. Okay? These are people that were righteous only in the eyes of people in Shechem, which means the people in Shechem were so low, I'm not going to tell you how low they were, but they were so low that in the eyes that there was a small amount of percentage of population that, relatively speaking, were looked to be as righteous people. But they weren't righteous. They were just compared to the evil of the massive population, they were considered to be righteous. So therefore, the Torah hints to this by taking away one of the letters of the word righteous, tzadikim, in Hebrew. Very interesting over there. Okay, moving right along. We have an amazing Torah here. It's brought down by the book Talalei Orot. On the portion of the week is Vayera on page 182, 183. An unbelievable idea. Once again, Abraham goes and is debating God. He's arguing with God, and he's asking if there are righteous people within the city. Bitocham. Now that word bitocham, within, that should ring a bell in the Jewish ear. That word sounds very familiar. If we would turn to the story of Pinchas who killed the head of the tribe of Shimon, Zimri ben Salu, and also killed a Midianite princess, Kozbi Batzor. So when he does it, what does the words of the Torah say? It says the following. Listen to the words. It says, Bikanoet kinati bitocham. Gewalt. I was zealous. Okay, I was zealous within. Once again, he uses the word. Okay, within the Jewish people. What does it mean, bitocham? So we know that there's a law in the code of Jewish law that if a person wants to be zealous in such a circumstance, then there is certain conditions. And one of the conditions, we're not going to mention all of them here. They might say we're giving you ideas, but if you see such an act, a Jewish person having relations with a non-Jew, so therefore there is a concept where the zealots are allowed to, without going to court, in fact they're not even allowed to ask. Once they ask, it's too late, baby. But under certain circumstances, they are allowed to take the law into their own hands, and another one bites the dust, or in this case, two people bit the dust. But one of those conditions is that it has to be at least 10 Jews that are eyewitnessing the act. It has to be a quorum of Jews, 10 people. And that's bitocham. So when Abraham was asking God, if I find 50 righteous people, 45, whatever the number is, within the city of Sodom, why did he add that word? You know why, folks, he added that word? Because he wasn't looking for any righteous people, or for your average bare righteous guy or woman. He was looking for people that were righteous in your face, in public. So the word bitocham, just like it's used by Pinchas, who needed at least 10 people, which would make it a public affair, so too Abraham was looking for Jews that, righteous people. He was looking for righteous people that took their righteousness to the streets, taking it to the streets, and in public, in your face, not embarrassed. Listen to the words of the Talalei Orot. He says that there are two ways that a righteous person should act. When a righteous person is in a religious community, amongst other righteous people, therefore, a righteous person amongst religious people, he should try to keep his or her acts, of righteousness, keep them underground. To keep them low, modest. Do not publicize what you're doing. You know, there's people today, they don't breathe without publicizing. Everything they do, everything they say, if it's not publicized, they're not going to do it. If you want me to donate money for a building, okay, I have to have my name in lights, and then I'll put it on. But if I'm not going to be publicized, I don't want any part of it. That's not a righteous person. A righteous person is the person that you don't know what the person is really doing behind closed doors. That's a righteous person. A person that acts righteous and kind when nobody's looking, that's the guy to go after. That's the girl you want for your son. So here's it. The number, the proto-righteous act of one community is that if you're righteous and you're within a religious community, try to keep your, good deeds quiet to yourself. However, he writes, if you were in a place with wicked people, here it's no time to be modest and quiet and keep it to yourself. Here you got to put it out. You got to strut your stuff. And he says, when the truth is missing, or when you are amongst the wicked communities, therefore Hashem does not want you to keep silent, keep secret. No, He wants you to do it in the public domain, to show your righteousness, to teach others the proper way of action. And listen to what he says, the Talmud Orot, unbelievable Torah. He says, when you see people that are supposedly righteous, but when they are amongst the wicked, they keep to themselves, they keep quiet. They don't really give you their opinion when they're in public, because they're afraid of repercussions. These people are not true righteous people. They are people that are afraid of human beings. They're afraid of what people will say about them. And they don't want to stick out and be different from others. This is an amazing thing. I can't tell you how many times in my life I was told by rabbis or laymen, I was told that, you know what? Only in private, this rabbi told me A, B, C, and D. Why only in private, I would ask? Well, he asked me not to publicize it in his name. So I'm only telling you, because you might be friendly with them. So in private, this is what he really says. Why doesn't he come out with public? He's afraid. He's afraid for his institution. Maybe the government will stop funding the institution, the learning institution. So this is an amazing thing. So Abraham is saying, don't give me these righteous people that are righteous in their homes, in their family, abodes. I want those people that are not afraid to take it to the streets. Okay, now, one of the most famous commentators on the 5 books of Moses, in fact, in all of the Tanakh, of all of the Bible, of his course, the Ibn Ezra. The Ibn Ezra, says the following, an amazing Torah by the Ibn Ezra. He says on Genesis chapter 18, verse 26, why did Abraham ask for righteous people within the city? Why did he add that word inside? And he writes the reason why he used the word inside the city, he meant publicly. As is written in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 5, verse 1. It brings down there that in the time of Jeremiah, Jeremiah was also looking for righteous people. But he wasn't looking for your average bare righteous person who keeps quiet, secret. Nobody knows about him. Nobody hears about him. He's afraid to say what he believes in public domain. So Ibn Ezra says Abraham was not looking for those people. He was looking for 50, 45, 40, 10 righteous people that took it to the streets in public to tell the truth in order to have an influence on people. And only if I find those types of righteous people, I want the city to be saved. Why? Because very simply, what is Abraham's line? We have to understand, what is he looking for here? His opinion is that if I find, this is very, very important foundation here, rule. Abraham is looking for righteous people. Why? Because he knows that certain righteous people that are taking it to the streets and are not frightened and are not in fear of what will the world say. He knows that these people can be influential on the masses. So therefore, he wants to save the wicked community of Sodom, but only if he could find righteous people that are not afraid of other human beings and not afraid of being condemned and ostracized. He's looking for those people, because if he can't find them, what good are righteous people that keep to themselves and keep quiet and keep secret and will not engage people in public debate? What good are they? How are they going to bring the wicked of the city of Sodom back to becoming righteous people? God created us righteous, straight up, upright. And we, because of our various sins, we bring ourselves down. We destroy the good traits that every one of us is created with. So therefore, Abraham wants to save the city only because of the fact that if he saves the city with the righteous people will in due time have influence, and those people will repent and start a new way in life. So an amazing idea here. The Sforno says the same concept as the Ibn Ezra. The Sforno, in the same verse, he says, why did Abraham ask for the righteous people within the city? And he says the following. He was looking for righteous people that would protest against the wicked. Protest against the wickedness and the wicked people of Sodom. Those kinds of people, those kinds of righteous people he was looking for. People that are not afraid to go out in the streets, on YouTube or whatever social media they might have, and just say it like it is. Tell the truth, put it out there, and not be afraid of all kinds of threats, etc., of frowns. Got to step up to the plate. The last commentator which we look at will be the famous Radak, Rav David Kimchi. Famous commentary also on the prophets, also in the 5 books of Moses, etc. He says the following. Just like in the times of Jeremiah, when Jeremiah was looking in the streets for righteous people outside, in public, that Hashem said to Jeremiah, if you find these types of people, I will have mercy and not destroy the temple. So it's very interesting. Not only the city of Sodom will be saved, but also the temple, the first temple, will not be destroyed in the time of Jeremiah if we could find righteous people, but not any righteous people. Not silent, secret, righteous people, but people that will stand up in public and give the message of truth. Those are the righteous people that will save the temple. Those are the righteous people that will save the city of Sodom. And he says, in the city of Sodom, we did not find those kinds of people to go out into the public thoroughfares, to speak out in public. We did not find those. Why? Because they were frightened that if they gave the message of truth, they might be killed. And they were not willing to sacrifice the unbelievable words of the holy commentator, the Radak, Rav David Kimchi. He says that they were not willing to sacrifice their lives. They knew that their lives would be in danger if they gave the message of truth, and therefore they shut up. And so therefore the Radak says, if we have such righteous people that are afraid to go out and to argue, bless you, and to argue with the wicked people and debate and discuss, if we don't have these taking it to the street kind of rabbis or holy people, spiritual people, then there's no chance to bring the wicked of Sodom or anywhere else in the world or within the Jewish people in the time of Jeremiah in the temple. There's no hope because they're not listening. They're not listening to the message. The message is not being given. So, in my humble opinion, what made both these giants, Reb Shlomo Carlebach and Rabbi Meir Kahane, what made them so special is, really for the first time in who knows how long, we had rabbis that took it to the streets, that got up in the middle of Manhattan or anywhere in the world, the middle of Russia, and they gave the message. And they were not afraid. They stood up and they spoke the truth, and they were not afraid. And we know in the case of Rabbi Kahane, he paid a dear price for it. But that was the idea. What made them special, what brought in the masses, what attracted our attention, what sold us, what bought us, was the fact that for the first time in who knows how many, hundreds or more, there were two special souls that took it to the streets, that took the Judaism. And, you know, when I was a kid, relatives of mine would tell me, you know, Yehuda, put your fringes, put your tzitzit in, you know, put your fringes inside your pants so nobody sees them, or put on a baseball cap or a basketball cap so people won't see that, you know, you're a Jew. So these, all of a sudden, you know, Rabbi Kahane and Rabbi Shlomo come along and say, be proud of the fact that you're a Jew. You know, wear outside. Take those strings, those fringes out. Take that kippah, put it on your head, Jack. So that was the message of pride. Being proud that we're Jewish. You know, we have, you know, Black Lives Matter, and I think they have a White Lives Matter, but how about Jewish Lives Matter? That we haven't come up with yet. So this was special. And it's really interesting. Today, you know, as I told you, when I noticed this lesson taught to us by the Torah, tremendous lesson in life throughout all generations, modern times, ancient times, it doesn't matter. The lesson is take it to the streets. You have a message, don't be afraid. Have sacrifice yourself, get it out. It might not be comfortable, that's for sure. It might be embarrassing, you know, true, many times. More people, some people less, some people more, but it's not always pleasant. Most of the time it's not pleasant, but do it. Just do it. So, anyways, today in the morning, I said, I got it. That song is like really in my head. Taking it to the streets, oh yeah. Taking it to the streets. Yeah, Doobie Brothers. So anyways, I was thinking to myself, I wonder if there's really a message here that's similar to what we could learn from Rabbi Kahane and Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach in the words. You know, as we know, prophecy is no longer amongst the sane. It's amongst children or the crazy people or the nations. So anyways, here's some of the words in the song, which is really amazing. You don't know me, but I'm your brother. Isn't that amazing? Taking it to the streets. You don't know me, but I'm your brother. How's that possible? If you're my brother, how come I don't know you? You know how come? Because you ain't taking it to the streets. You ain't taking it to the streets. So that's how come you don't know me, but I'm your brother. Amazing. You don't know my kind in the world. You know, sometimes you have people, great people, much greater than we are, righteous people, saintly people. I don't know if you could say that, you know. Doesn't sound too Jewish to me, saintly, but whatever. You know, sometimes, and they have no language, they have no connection to our lost brothers out there. No connection whatsoever. Every week I have a group of people that come from certain Jewish institutions, And most of them, 98% of them, they have no dialogue with the average assimilated Jew on the street, whether it be in Israel or anywhere else in the world. There is nothing in common. There's no common ground. So this is a big problem. So you don't know my kind in the world. How in the world are they going to have any influence on those that are far away? Maybe we could say, and this to me is definitely a true statement, that there are two types of righteous people. There are certain types that are more for within the righteous community, and there are others that have much more of a soul, that are righteous, but they're able to bring in the masses, to have them closer, bringing them closer to Judaism. Of course, must add that even though a person might, his letter in the Torah might be to influence amongst the religious community, that doesn't mean that when it comes time to step up to the plate, and he doesn't step up to the plate, it's fine that 95% of the time he's, within his community, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But there comes many, many times in a person's life where you have to take it to the streets. And if this righteous person does not take it to the streets at that 5%, 2% of the time, well, then he's not righteous. He lost it, as we saw here by the commentaries. And the chorus, no more need for running, no more need for hiding. Unbelievable. Isn't that it with Rabbi Kahane, Reb Shlomo? No more need for running. Stop running away. Stand up and fight. Stop running away from Judaism. It's beautiful. Learn it. Live it. It's beautiful. No need to hide anymore. No need to hide your Judaism anymore. Taking it to the streets. Take this message to my brother. You will find him everywhere. Amazing thing. Take this message to my brother. He's all over the place. No matter what country you're in. So many lost souls. So many people that are looking for truth. Looking for the right path. And there's nobody, okay? And many times we won't find people that are taking it to the streets. So Rabbi Kahane and Rabbi Carlebach, in my humble opinion, their greatness, what really brought in the masses, what connected them to the people, what converted so many of us, so to speak, what brought us back to Judaism, to Torah, by so many of us, by both of these giants, was the fact that they took it to the streets. And that is a lesson for us all to continue. May we follow in their righteous path.
Amen.